Hello, hello.
Howdy.
Hi.
Hello.
Oh, Peter's here.
Yeah,
I left early. We had
that's so
14
kind of
people
you.
in our
Thank
sound
you so
bath,
much.
but I made it.
14 people? Wow.
That is awesome for this little town.
You had singing bowls, right?
Singing, but oh, beautiful. These huge. She's such an artist. Um,
Mm.
so this is her second and third year she's been doing it. I invited her to come and do this healing work, and it's wonderful.
Oh.
Yep. How's everybody?
Good.
Good. How are you? Good.
I'm well, I'm divine. I'm so good I'm sleepy, but I'm here.
Exactly.
Hello, Ruth.
Hello, Ruth. Okay. I have not heard that Eldana was not going to be here, so I'm expecting her. And then Jim.
Everybody has nighttime lighting. We don't usually do this in the evening.
I don't. This
Look
is
at them.
sunshine.
That sunshine.
Yeah.
Ours
Oh,
is
look at
gone.
you.
Oh, yeah.
It's 5 o'clock here,
Ah.
better known as 4 o'clock, right?
Yeah. That's why Peter's with us, because it's 6 o'clock for Peter,
I
right?
know.
No, it's 7 o'clock for us.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, but it feels like 6 o'clock.
Oh, I see what you're saying. Okay.
Yeah.
Mm. Hey, is anybody going to Hem Society this summer? No.
In Detroit,
In Detroit, yeah.
What are the dates
um,
for that?
Uh, July 13th through
Yeah.
the 16th.
yeah, it doesn't look good for that.
Okay, well, I'm going. United Church of Canada invited me to go and give a presentation. Um,
Oh.
so I will also get some UCMA things just to promote UCMA while I'm there a little bit.
Wonderful.
Yeah.
I
There
need to ask
go.
before I forget if I can get the UCMA banner to use at the Southwest Conference.
Yeah, I'm gonna send it to you, Ruth.
Awesome. So
The
it's
a tabletop banner.
like, I think
Yeah, I
it's
have it on my to-do list here.
great.
So I will be sending that to you here shortly.
Is there a PDF of a brochure or anything like that? Do I have
Uh,
any kind?
I might have something I could send you.
That would
I'll
be
look
great.
and see.
Thank you.
All right, let's get started. Like I said, I had not heard from Eldana that she would not be here, so maybe she'll pop in, but let's get started. And Peter, since you're here, would you like to lead us in an opening prayer this evening?
Well, I sure will. Oh, holy divine mystery, we've had the first Sunday of Lent and you've given us a lot of work to do. We're grateful for our UCMA family and this board meeting tonight. Be with us, sick us with your Holy Spirit. Help us to listen and help us to be doing what you are blessing and guide us as we seek to be doing what you are blessing. We ask in your holy divine name. Amen.
Amen. Very, very good. Ruth, I know you've got some important stuff to share. I'm going to save you for the very end as the God moment, as we wrap our arms around innocent, because the things that are happening in the stepping up and is, to me, there's just not a better example. So we're going to ask you to kind of hold that part out, and then you can close us out. So, anyways, Joan sent some minutes from last month. We need to approve that. Do we have enough people to do that?
Yep.
Yeah, I think we have 9 board members, so we need 5. And I'm assuming I'm an acting secretary, I can vote.
Yeah. Okay, you want to make a motion to
Okay.
approve those?
I make the
Me?
motion to approve them.
Okay.
Second,
I think,
I second it.
discussion. Vote to approve.
thank you.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay, Jim, I'm going to ask you to do the same with any reports out there that we need to approve from your end. So if you want to take the lead on that.
Okay. Yeah, so quick things of things that are happening. We're still working through the transition of the Bank of America accounts. It's been quite a saga, but hopefully we will wrap that up this week and finally be on the up and up. We had 4 returning memberships of $600 as income. We had interest of 28 cents in between our 2 accounts. We had 2 expenses, which were over $2,600. We have 4 outstanding bills that we need to pay. And once I get the checking account rolling, I will be able to do that. We have an ending balance of $1,205, which means that that's the money that we have in our wallet. All right, that's stuff that it's from prior years, money that we haven't spent. It's not anything that is allocated as an endowment or one of our restricted funds. So we do have a positive balance in our banking accounts for the time being, and we'll be able to cover expenses for the time being. One of the things I did this past month is I reviewed the amount of activity that we have, and I checked with our accountant to see if there was any need for us to have specific software like QuickBooks, because we said the ones we have right now are out of date, they're not supported, and there are a lot of issues with that. So I asked them, given the amount of activity that we have going on in the accounts, I'm not seeing a real need that the software is going to be something that would be advantageous for us. All of the stuff I can do just with a spreadsheet. And he seemed very good with that. He said there's no reason at all to spend extra money on something like that. I sent him my spreadsheet so he knows what I'm doing, and he's happy with that. So I think we're good. We don't need to purchase, at least I'm making the recommendation that we don't need to purchase any software for the present time. Other than that, I'm going to look to see fairly soon and have a proposal next month for moving some of our restricted funds to areas where we can get some greater return on our investments. And I'll have that ready for you next month.
That's wonderful.
Excellent.
That is wonderful. I am looking at the reports you sent. Oh, wait a minute, that's the other email. Did everybody receive the reports Jim sent?
Yes.
Treasury reports for February? Okay. Can we get that voted on? Make a motion in a second, a vote?
I move that we approve all the reports.
A
Second.
second. Discussion? Vote? All in favor?
Yay.
Passed. All right. Very good. Very good. Oh, good. Look at us. Okay. I've got some exciting news, and maybe I am the one that's tardy to the party. Let me pull this up. But Peter sent me something that I, to be honest with you, didn't even know existed, that the United Church of Christ National publishes a yearbook and directory. Does everybody know about this?
Yeah.
Okay, I'm looking at the 2025 yearbook and directory, which includes statistics for each local church, all local church mailing addresses, phone numbers, and websites, a directory of national ministries and other UCC national bodies, and a directory of various institutions related to the UCC United Church of Christ. So it is available, and I will order. I've hardly spent any money as president. I'm going to order some. I need to ask you who should have this. And if you all want it, hey,
Is it available online?
Yes, and
had
there is an
ex-
online option as well.
Is that cheaper?
It is cheaper, but I'm thinking kind of like, downloadable music. We need to pay for however many online. I don't want to just have one and then everybody use it, because that's to me like a copyright. That's how that sits with me. But yeah, we can absolutely have a copyright one, or an online version of this.
Yeah, I'm certainly able to access mine from my church office because they have it.
Okay,
I don't know if that's true for other people. I don't know why we would need to do that.
Yeah, probably true that most churches have that.
so the online version is 19.99 and the paper book is 40.
Ooh,
But this is my thought. We're an organization. If we buy one copy, the people in our executive board could use it. And the reason I sent it to Dawn is I thought we could make a master email list of all those churches that haven't been able to get through and blitz them with our information. And if it's
Oh.
online, we copy and paste the online addresses and make a master list.
Michelle and I did that several years ago. I think pre-pandemic. It took a long time, copy and paste. And then it goes out of date fairly quickly because churches are closing, changing, joining.
Right.
Yeah.
Well,
What?
this is 5 years later, and we really need to keep getting the word out about who
But
we
it's
are.
time consuming. It's time consuming for somebody to sit there and copy and paste all these things from online. Or I don't know how you do it from a paper copy.
A job that we could share, could we make it a Google Doc and everybody take a part of that?
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Yeah,
You might be able,
I think it's worth considering, and I think it's worth reaching out to as many churches as possible at this point. If we need to do it in everybody takes a region of the country and we all have, so many different churches, or we attack, churches that have a certain number of members or whatever it happens to be. We need to start working at that. Because we need the publicity. We need the grassroots. We need information to go out to the grassroots at this point.
but what are you looking for? Email addresses?
Yes.
Oh, those change. I mean,
So, well, as a suggestion, I'm not sure what format this online version comes in, but if it's something that can be easily put into a spreadsheet, and there's ways to do that from documents and so forth but I'm not sure if it comes in a format like that, or if it's in like a PDF type of format, which so I'm not sure what the format is, but there might be a way to get this information and download it and manipulate it to our needs rather quickly. But I don't know what the format is, and I'd have to find that out first.
Why don't I can share with you some information here. It says this resource, a subscription, you agree to the terms of the UCC. The resource is web accessible. After your order is placed, you receive an email within 2 business days with a link access to the web-based resource. Nothing will be shipped to you. Instant access to UCC data at your fingertips, and it includes 10,000 UCC clergy current contact information, 4,500 UCC churches confirmation, UCC conference directory, data dashboards available, and it is not a PDF. It is updated as things change by them. So the online resource, they would do the updating for the 12 months. We'd have it for 12 months.
That sounds like it's something that we could, if it'd be downloadable and it's updated on a regular basis, that's something I definitely think we could use and change it so it's not a cut and paste type of activity.
Right. So given that, to proceed, who should have it? And it might be that, I think we as a board can pay for it for however many people at, $19 a crack. But then how is that done? Do you pay for that? And because you'd want to register your email, you know what I mean? And set up all that with the password and probably, login access. And then do we reimburse you the 19, or, Ed's already got this taken care of. But who should have it, and what's the best way to proceed with the the registration for it.
Does every church that submits information to the database have access to it? Ed, do you know that, whether that's the case?
I don't know. I think a church office maybe has to pay for it. I mean, they have a hard copy. They probably had to pay the $40 for it or something. I don't know.
Okay,
I don't know much about it. I
okay.
just know that we have one in the office usually.
Oh, okay. Well, is that something you could check into, Don? Does every church have access to the database?
There is a link here that says browse church listing here for free. And when I click on that, here, you know what I could do is share my screen. I haven't done that in a long time. Where is the share screen on this? Blah, 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 blah.
Center. Just put your cursor down to the bottom center.
Here it is. All right, I'll do that. Can you see it?
Nope.
Hang on.
There you go.
Now you can?
Yep.
Yep.
All right, so this is what when it says click here, that must be a sample of what comes up.
I'm not seeing any websites or email addresses.
Well, I wonder, because I think this is just it does say you get all that, but we haven't subscribed yet, so maybe
Right.
I wonder if these would be live links, you know what I mean? Once you pay, that you could access, and it takes you into everybody's own. I don't know. Like I said, it just said free sample here or something like that. So anyways, so should I start? I'll order it, but like I said, who else do you think? Eric, you probably should have.
Well, it would be nice to have it in that, I've already sent emails out, which we'll talk about later, about the summer conference next year, to a bunch of different churches, that I went through and did on the locator in the denomination's website. But having a listing of the churches, and of course Joan sent me a database as well, which was wonderful, of our members. So having that would be really helpful, I think. Yes.
All right, what I just did is I put the ordery link in the chat. It's in the chat on this meeting. So if I think those that want to have access to it, go ahead and order it. Go ahead and pay for it. And if you want to be reimbursed by that, we will do that. And you can contact Jim or me, send your, you can scan your receipt for the $19.99 and have that. Does that sound like a plan?
Sounds like a
So
The plan.
what I'm looking at is the $40, and then it says customers also like, and there's access UCC for $19.99. Is that the online version?
Well, the $40 is the hard copy. The $19.99 is the digital, the online.
So which are you offering? The
Well,
digital
either one.
online?
Either
Oh.
one. To me, the online's a better way to go because they're making the updates in the next 12 months. They'll keep it current,
Yeah, okay, that's
But
good.
if you want a hard copy, that's a valuable resource. We just have to put it to use. We just have to, and okay, there's a lot of stuff in there, like Joan said, and it said, 10,000, I think, but we're not going to need all that, that's for sure. But I think it'd be a great resource to spread the word,
Cool.
All right. Okay. All right. There's that. Minutes, this and that. We talked about board positions last month, and on the Google's calendar for this month, we're supposed to start, thinking about a nomination committee for new positions on the board. We talked about, we absolutely need a secretary. We absolutely need we talked about the member concierge, and everybody seemed to be in agreement with that. And then we also talked about whether a gifts officer is something we want to do. So if we're gonna, I wondered, are we the nomination committee as the board right now to start seeking out people and nominating and discussing that as a board? I don't know that a separate committee, who would that be, and what would that look like? What are your thoughts?
I think we should all work at this, and in our various strengths. I think that we need to reach out to members. Either in the newsletter or in the journal or something, or with a special email of some sort, and explain what it is that we're trying to accomplish here and the specifics on these different positions on the board, and ask for people to email back with any interest that they might have or any questions or concerns that they might have, but ultimately to see if there's anybody who feels that they would be qualified to do these jobs for us, with us. And then, we can reach out to the conferences and get stuff out in their newsletters, and we can reach out to individuals that we feel that we know who might be a good fit for these positions as well. But I think it's only fair that we start with our own membership.
Yes.
Who knows, what this organization is about.
Just one second. So my message in the newsletter, the president's message was that very thing: get involved, step up. We need you. We want to take this to some new positions, add some new positions, extend our outreach and this and that. So I've kind of started that with that message. But Ruth, you had something as well?
Can we get a list of current members? Can we all get that list?
That lives on the website.
Okay, cool.
But I would get very specific about the jobs and some of the requirements for the jobs, what a description of what the job involves, not necessarily, many things being listed, but just a general overview of what each job would do, and then contact this person or send us the reasons why you think you would be good for this job, or send us a resume, or however we would want to have a response for this. I think that would be one way of going about it, and maybe a special email to the members, separate from the newsletter, would be a good idea to highlight the importance of what it is that we're trying to do here.
Mm-hmm.
I'm just brainstorming here.
I
Yeah.
don't think you're gonna get a lot of response.
I don't either. No, knowing full well that when I send things out for the journal, that very few people respond. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off, Ruth.
Well, I think if you can call Jane Doe and say, we want you on the board, that's a much more effective way, but that also presupposes that you know something about Jane Doe.
Right.
It was at the conferences, our board people would get to know others out there and kind of find people who attended the conferences as possible board members. And there's also a requirement in the bylaws that new board members have to have attended at least one conference.
Uh-oh, well, that's gonna
Yeah.
blow efforts out of the water.
I think we voted one time not to change that, but didn't we overlook that for somebody that was either going to? Yeah, we did.
I don't remember who, but we did.
I remember that came up. How do you feel about that? Should a board member have attended a conference?
Well, it's ideal, but I don't think it's all that realistic.
I agree.
Well, especially since we really didn't
Didn't have
get a
the,
lot of participation in the last two conferences,
yeah.
as much as we thought we might. I think if somebody has an interest in doing something with us and for us, that we encourage them to do that. I did go all the way through the membership and jot down some names of people who had put down some interest in doing things, and also from the survey from the conference that we took, there were a couple people that were especially vociferous about certain things, who we might want to talk to and see if they want to help us as well.
So here's moving forward, next steps. Here's what I have capacity to do. I have capacity to type up a brief job description for these three positions we've talked about. I would send it out to the board for additions, subtractions, this and that. I have capacity for that, and I also have capacity to come up with a campaign, like, okay, we should have an email, we should have this, we should have that, and I can add that to the Google Sheets calendar. What I don't have capacity to do with this new job, because I'm learning tons and tons and tons, and we're ramping up into our big concert season, is do the actual outreach. So Eric, I'm wondering, since you will be the president of, coming up, and these board members will, be with our board, but you'll be the president. Would
Yeah.
you, if we come up with this, in the determination, we're going to send emails, we're going to send names to Eric, or do the outreach? If Ruth knows somebody, great. And we're going to talk about Amanda in a little bit too, and where that's at. But would you have the capacity, once the framework, if I lay the framework, then to kind of execute, the outreach?
Yeah.
Is that good?
Yeah, that's not a problem.
Okay. Does that sound good? Anybody else have anything else to add to that? Ruth?
I can talk about my efforts to find Black board members if you would like.
This leads right into that, and what, some of the work you've been doing in conversation. So please, yeah, absolutely share.
So there's a woman named Reverend Myra Taylor, who is from Chicago but moved to Phoenix maybe 4 years ago. And she was active at Trinity UCC. That's where she basically decided to become a minister. She's worked at several other churches in the Chicago area. She's a Black woman. She has lots of Black contacts. She knows lots of musicians in the Chicago area. And she and I had a nice long Zoom. She came to our church to preach during Black History Month. And she gave me the names of 8 different people that she thought might be possible board members. And we didn't talk about any of the aspects of the position other than just this is what UCCMA is. So this is kind of cold calls. But if you want diversity on the board, I think this is a good way to go. Obviously, these people are not members currently. They have not been to a conference, but they are good musicians and they are church musicians. And most of them are UCC. There was one who is not. I have not contacted them. I'm kind of waiting to see what you all think.
I love it. I think it's great.
I think we should
Alright.
pursue it. Yeah.
I will point out that one of the contacts is Brian Johnson, who is the music director at Trinity UCC. So he's a big fish, and he obviously would know lots of other people. And she suggested that I drop Keith Hampton's name when I'm talking to these people, as a lot of them would know Keith.
Right. As a former board member.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's a great route to go, and I salute you for finding that way to get people's names. That's a wonderful thing.
So one of my thoughts was that I think we should have more than one Black member. I don't want to put somebody in the position of being the token minority person. That's uncomfortable for everybody. I think it was uncomfortable for Brandon. So I would prefer to recruit 2 people.
Perfect.
I think that the board would be stronger if we had more people on the board rather than fewer. So that makes sense from my point of view. And then my remaining question is, do you want me to pitch those particular jobs? And do you want me to include my jobs?
So the list I have is education and then membership concierge, a gifts officer, and secretary. But let's talk about the DEI thing. It seems to me, and I'll be the first to admit I don't necessarily have the answer, but it seems to me that we could do more with DEI, especially now. And Eric and Ruth and I have talked about this a little bit. Than we are, even though I don't know exactly what that is, but that's because apparently I live in a bubble, which I'll talk about in a little bit coming up. But what if we were to, do you think, Ruth and everybody else, if we would to try to search out an education / DEI person, would that, are those logical areas that you would combine,
So when you say education, are you talking about Saturday
Saturday
sharings
sharings, right? Yeah.
and anything else?
Hmm?
Does that include anything beyond Saturday sharings?
Well, if we would ever do something, in the past, we had partnered a couple times with National, and we were part of one of their presentations where we actually presented. So I say education, it's not planning the conference, that's for sure, but mostly Saturday sharings. And if something would come up, an opportunity that, say National wanted to feature us on a webinar, which we had done in the past, it's been a while, it's just kind of a blanket, but 90% Saturday sharings. Yeah.
I think my next Saturday sharing, I think, will be around Black music and can a white congregation sing Black music? So I think they do work together.
I do too. Anybody else disagree or have a different idea?
Well, if we were able to get more than one Black person to be on the board, and one would do the DEI and one would do the education, or one of the other jobs, it really doesn't matter. What is the limit on numbers for our board?
11.
11? Mm-hmm.
All right, and right now we have
9.
9, I believe.
okay, and Ruth is dropping off the board,
So that would watch that.
right?
And I'm not supposed to be on the board.
And the secretary would be on the
Yeah.
board, but would replace you, John.
Yeah.
So, I mean, we would have spots for people to do things, I think.
Right.
I think part of the other, not rather than trying to pigeonhole somebody just as soon as we talk to them and try and put it to meet our needs. I think especially with new people, it'd be good for them to come on board as a general board member and eventually see where their talents and their interests could make a difference.
Right.
And rather than try and put them, okay, we got this opening, so we got to put you in there type of thing. I think, again, I think it'd be good to see what talents and energies they bring to the board and take advantage of that.
I agree. Absolutely.
Yeah, I would agree with that.
Yeah.
But
So-
we're talking about wanting to have this new board in place for July 1st, right?
Yes.
Mhm. Yeah.
Okay.
And at what point, because I can't recall what I did, at what point does Eric need to start thinking about president-elect? Is that a year into his term or?
Hmm.
You can be thinking about that at any point.
Yeah,
Sooner
I'm
is better
on.
than later.
I'm already thinking about it. Thank you.
Great,
There
great.
you go.
Okay. Alrighty. So yes, so I guess first steps, I can get these, my thoughts put together about the positions. Let's make that happen in the next 5 days here by the end of the week. I'll send stuff out soon because I think I've already kind of hinted at some of this, so it's not hard. and let's add any, comments, edits, and then we'll get that in place. And then, not that that's a, be all end all, because we're going to kind of we can have this general board and then determine where they go. But it's nice to have some sort of a focus, moving forward, and that's not hard to get in place. And then I'll suggest a campaign. You can also add to that. And then Eric will, once we finalize that, Eric can kind of run with that.
Sounds good.
You want to update us a little bit us about Amanda? We've had a little conversation with Amanda, just kind of bring the board up to speed about that, Ruth.
Well, I guess the gist of it is that Amanda is happy to serve on the board or not serve on the board, in whatever way best serves the organization. She is going through some transitions in her own life. She's, I think, working her way off her employment with Colorado College and going to be more of a consultant. But she told me that, if we find some Black members and feel that that's where we want to do things, that's great. And she's happy to continue participating as a non-board member.
She was very clear she didn't want to take the place of a person of color on our board, but she would
Right.
serve if we
Yeah.
wanted her, needed her. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think she'd be an amazing board member. I don't know that she would be good at a gifts officer or
Nope.
a membership concierge or whatever, but
No, but as a DEI person or as an education person, I think she would be stellar.
I agree. Yeah. Okay, that's good. That's very good.
Thank
Anything
you,
else?
Ruth.
mhm.
Yeah, great work. Great work. Okay, what I'm crossing stuff off here, right and left. So I was so hopeful this time was going to get everybody here, and here we are, not much different than on a Saturday morning. Eric will be ultimately the one to decide when we meet and how that works, to what makes, what works. But what are your thoughts
Okay.
about this Sunday evening compared to Saturday morning? Is the juice worth the squeeze?
I think it's fine to keep trying.
I think there are fewer funerals and stuff on Sunday nights.
Right. Right. I agree. Craig is at a Broadway show. I didn't ask him which one, but he's doing that. And
Well, and if it's predictable,
yeah.
it would be the second Sunday of every month. Is that what we're going with?
Yeah, so the next month will be Palm Sunday evening.
Oh, yikes. What do you think about that? Is that going to be a problem for anybody?
No.
Okay.
We should have stopped waving palms by then.
Or tickling the person in front of us. with
There
it.
you go.
There we go. Okay. All right. So what I'd like to do then is kind of just go around the room and ask for some updates. And then I think I did take this. I have cheese and crackers, and this is a big martini. No, this is actually lemon water. It's not a martini, but
Should be a double old fashioned.
well, it'd be more than a double. It'd be a month of them. But I'd like to go around and get updates, and then hopefully we'll have a little time. I'd like to hear how one of the things I like about this is how did Sunday morning go? Whose choir sang, whose didn't, what happened? So anyways, Ruth, I'm going to save you to the very end, but Eric, you want to update us on anything in your world?
Sure. Well, first off, UCCMA business, the deadline for the journal is at the end of this month. I'm including Jeanette in as much correspondence and so forth as possible and process. The summer conference update is that I have emails out to churches in Columbus, Ohio, Cleveland, Ohio, Indianapolis, Washington, D.C., and Scott Siciliano and I are meeting this week about Harrisburg. So I've gotten replies from a few of the Cleveland churches, and we're hopeful that we can make this happen. We're trying to go with a Mid-Atlantic or Midwestern, Ohio Valley kind of thing, if possible. Um, so we'll see. We're trying to push, but not push too hard so that people don't just immediately say no. So if you have any ideas, let me know. I'm meeting with Brian Henn, who's from the Congregational Singing Hymn Society organization down. He lives in Baltimore, and so he and I are going to meet and talk about stuff. Whether there's any connections we can make, any sharing that we can do between organizations and so forth. He's interested in what our organization is doing as well. So he's written for us before, and he's writing for us again for this next journal. Thanks to Ruth and to all of you for your wonderful contributions to Innocent's situation. I know I may have overreacted to the seriousness of what he's going through. I don't know. But in any event, it was something that we really needed to address as a group. And so I appreciate the responses that I got. And I guess Ruth is going to talk about a little bit more later. So I appreciate you being the caring, kind, and wonderful people that you are. When I sent the things out, I included Donna Murphy on the address in the addresses, and got an email back from her replacement at the West Parish Church. And Jim, thank you for responding so beautifully to her. She said, "Oh, is this an organization that musicians can join?" You know, that kind of thing. And so Jim responded, and it was a connection through a mistake on my part. So I appreciate Jim responding. I have announced to my church that I am retiring as of June 30th, 2026. And so I have about 16 months before I have to get my tail out of this room that I'm sitting in right now. It's just time. It'll be 45 years. Nothing as good as what Ed's done, but but 45 years is long enough.
That's huge. It's incomprehensible.
Well, yeah, it flies. Time flies when you're having fun. So the church is having a trauma right now. No, they're not.
Yeah.
It's fine.
No, they are.
But anyway, that's all I have to talk about. Thanks.
Thanks, Ed. Thank you. Peter.
Well, my soul, what was the sermon about today? The three temptations of Jesus and how we can be empowered. We do not have to have the meddling deceiver. That's what I called it. Don't you like the fingers? Meddling deceiver. Anyway, it was very good. Last week we had our annual meeting, and from our little 11-member church, we got 5 new members during the annual meeting. Can you believe it? Isn't it wonderful? Tonight we had the singing bowl. We had 13 people show up. This is the country. And that was wonderful. And I left, and I'm going to go to bed soon. But it was very, very lovely. And then I went to the town meeting, or as we say up here, the town meeting dear. Lick your tongue. And I was horrified because we got the good Christian Baptists up on the hill. I always hiss when I go by their house. I do. And so they were voting. I know, Ruthie, it's terrible. So I see that on your face. So they were voting. Everything is voted. It's not like those queer things they have on television. That's not a town meeting. And so they wanted to vote down giving $500 to the food cupboard because it's in the next town, and $700 to the domestic violent women because it's out of Cumberland County. And I stood up there, which I shut my mouth on the food cupboard, nasty little anal crevices, but I stood up there and I said, "You don't know." I said, "I have sheltered the women that are bloody, that have broken bones. I have hidden them in our little village church, and I have driven their cars to hide them. And they're your neighbors." And then I sat down. That's all I had to say. The motion carried. Anyway,
Good for you.
I know. I want to just take my hand and slap somebody, but I didn't. So I better be more prayerful because really I shouldn't be slapping people unless they want to be slapped. Anyway, Coco is almost up and running. So I tuned the Great Division last week, and this next week we're going to do the swell and the positive. She has 12 ranks, 1,000 pipes in my basement. And when Ed and Ruth come for now they don't have to limit your vacation, Ed and Ruth. You come to the mill house and we'll expect Ed to enjoy himself playing Coco. Won't that be nice? And the
Sure.
rest of you better hightail it here to Newfield before I drop dead. You want to get here quick.
Will you have to put tape X's on all your windows?
No, I won't. It's amazing. It's a very elegant sound.
Oh,
It's very
good.
beautiful. Yeah, at first I thought it's going to rattle everything in the Waterford will crack, but no. It's really quite stunning, actually. Now I need your help. I want a Zimbelstern, and I want a beautiful Zimbelstern that sits on top of the organ. So you guys, you all know what churches are closing, and we can wheel in deals so I can buy their Zimbelstern. And I'm serious. So there. It's great to be on this board, and I appreciate all your dedication. Oh, one other thing I told everybody, United Church of Canada called me and they wanted me to go to Detroit to be the representative for this new hymn book because I've worked on it for 7.5 years, and they're paying my airfare. I said, I'm not flying out of Boston. I want to fly out of Portland. Then I said, because last year I'm in this place, it was so hot I was dying. I said, I'm too old and too fat, and you better get me a place with an air conditioning or I'll have a stroke. And they said, oh, yes, okay. And so I looked at what they're paying. It's like $2,400 to put me out and go out and be the Reverend Dr. Peter Stickney, represent UCCMA for the Canadians. Ain't that good?
That's great.
Yeah.
Do you want to take a banner too?
I wouldn't dare. No, I'm supposed to be representing Canada, but I'm the representative from UCCMA.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. And I like all the crew that's going. They're really musical and they're so kind and they're so they just know their music and they know their craft. Now, as far as the music I did today, I have the country western people. So I had the bass. Old Debbie was playing the bass. She had a big bad dye job on today, and her husband Ed. And it's twangy on the guitar, but he always sings in tune. But I'm playing the piano, and every practice it's 2 hours for 3 songs. It's 2 hours. So what do we call this, Ruth and people? We call it ministry. That's
Yeah.
what I call it, ministry. I could call it torture, but I love them and they're wonderful. So that's my life here in Newfield, Maine. This next week, though, I have Laura, the Finnish wonder. Her mother just died. She was 100. She plays this handbell, solo handbells, like that wonderful handbell soloist we had up in Vermont. She's even better than her. She's flipping, slang word, awesome. So there we go. So just remember this week, people, beware of the meddling deceiver.
Peter, your storytelling conjures up a Betty Davis movie for me. I told them, love it. I love it. Thank you.
I'm just telling the truth. I'm not telling a fable.
Absolutely. Fasten your seatbelts. All right, Joan.
I can't match that. I don't have anything to report. Ed has all the fun stuff going on.
Okay, let's hear about it, Ed.
Yeah.
Okay, well, Peter was talking about or somebody asked a question about if the house was falling apart because of all the organ sounds. We had the 32-foot, the bottom 12 notes of our 32-foot on our organ at the church hasn't been working for 3 years at least, maybe 4. And so we finally bit the bullet and got a new 12-note bottom from Peterson, and it was installed last week. And on Sunday morning, people discovered that one of the storm windows had fallen downstairs, and we think it's because of our testing the 32-foot a little bit too much.
Uh,
So after church on Sunday, two people were standing on the pews, putting these storm windows, clamping them back in the window. Anyway, we had fun this morning. The theme of the day was the Good Samaritan story. And I found, Joan put in the newsletter, the recommendation for Cypress choral music from a Canadian organization. And I used a piece from their catalog called Chico, the Good Samaritan. And it's a bossa nova accompaniment, a really fun piece. So that was our scripture reading, and then the choir sang this piece, kind of acting it out. It's like a little musical. It was composed originally for SSA, for a really good youth choir someplace. But we figured out how to adapt it to an SATB by having women sing this or the men sing this part or whatever. And it kind of brought down the whole house. So we had a rousing applause after we finished the whole thing. So it was a really fun piece. Chico the Good Samaritan by Larry Nickel.
I love that. That's one thing I do like about the post-Sunday meeting here is just the reflections on what happened in your world today. That's great. Thank you. Mr. Baratko.
Well, today we had we originally had scheduled our service for February 9th. We have a group that comes to our church on an annual basis called the Hot Cat Jazz Band. And it's 6 instrumentalists, all Dixieland jazz people. And so we normally have it before the start of Lent. Well, on the 9th, we canceled our service, and so we postponed it, and we were able to do it today instead. So we really had church this morning. We had Down by the Riverside and all those great hymns with a Dixieland band playing. I didn't play the organ once today, so it was all piano. And I did an arrangement called What a Friend We Have in Jesus. I was inspired by the movie Leap of Faith from 1992 with Steve Martin. You should look it up. It's a funny movie about this huckster down in the South who's going from tent meeting to tent meeting. He goes to the fact that he creates a miracle because he has a statue of Jesus and in his tent, and between meetings, all of a sudden he goes up and paints the eyes so the eyes are closed to start, and then the people come in and the eyes are open. And but the music is gospel, it's rousing and it's fantastic. So that's what we had today for our service.
I love that. I love that. Wow, all this creativity. All right, I'm going to share a little bit about what happened in our church today, and then I'm going to turn it over to Ruth to share what she has to share, and that's going to be our closing, our God moment. But so every other year during Lent, I use the Broadway songbook. Our pastor is a big Broadway fan, and this and that, and he likes all that. And as you know, my history and Madison, when I presented a webinar, or not a webinar, but a in-service about this, use all kinds of great things that you can come up with. And a couple weeks ago, it was longer than that. It was a couple months ago. One of our choir members shared a concern they have. He's a lovely man, and his best friend and him, they've been friends for 30 some years, has gone far right MAGA. And they haven't spoken for the last year and a half. And he found out that the man is dying from pancreatic cancer. And he's like, this is such a hard position for me because we grew up, we were best friends. We've been best friends up until about a year and a half ago. And then politics divided us. We're not speaking. And he goes, I don't know what to do. Do I reach out? Do I not? So the choir has been, praying for that and this and that. And when he told that story, I thought there's a song from the musical Big River that I think speaks to this. So my choir sings twice a month. That was not today, but I schedule special musicians to sing or play or whatever they want to do. So if you think of the political climate and Kurt's story about his friend, I'm just going to read you a small text of this song from Big River, and you can connect the dots and see how it works. And then I should also mention that our pastor will take the lyrics of these songs, these Broadway songs, he weaves them through the whole service, the benediction, the sermon, the prayers. He'll take snippets of it and make one big cohesive service. But the text says, I see the same skies through brown eyes that you see through blue, but we're worlds apart, worlds apart. Just like the earth, just like the sun, two worlds together are better than one. I see the friendship in your eyes that you see in mine, but we're worlds apart, worlds apart. And there's three verses that basically kind of mirror that sentiment that, wow, here's you, here's me, but let's find some common ground and keep our commonality. So that's what happened in Anoka, Minnesota today with our services. So that's that. And before I pass the baton to Ruth, I want to say that that Northwest Minneapolis Suburban Church is a very liberal church when it comes to politics and social justice and this and that. We sit, I'd say, pretty far left. There's a trans flag on our building. There's a rainbow flag on our building. We're kind of known as the gay church in a red city. Anoka is pretty red, and the city is transforming. Last summer, they had their very first own Pride celebration. We hosted it in our parking lot. We're going to have another one. It's expanding this year, so we've been a good influence and a good model for that. But so that's my church. And then in my life, I live in very blue Minneapolis, and I work in the arts. Was working in the arts, paused a bit. I'm back in the arts, so that's you know where that all sits usually. Um, and I realized what a bubble I live in because of two things: the past election, and then this situation with Innocent. Um, Eric sent out Eric sent out, the story and our call to action and this and that. And, Joan had input, Ruth had input, people had these ideas and resources, and she knew somebody. I had nothing. I didn't know anybody that could help, and I didn't really have any experience in any of this. And I thought to myself, this bubble you live in is great for my worldview, but you you're stepping up in this situation is as a call to action to me as well, to become more aware and have some resources in my pocket. So I'm a little embarrassed to say that I didn't rattle off a bunch of ways to help because I didn't have them, but this story is making me a better person, because I'm going to seek out some opportunities that when I hear this kind of stuff, I can contribute. So thank you. Thank you so much. And now I'm going to have Ruth close us out with her update.
Well, I have several things that I want to share. First of all, I'm not going to talk about my church service because it was nothing out of the ordinary, but I just finished a concert this afternoon, so my voice is a little froggy, and I'm going to share with you a YouTube video to one of the songs that we sang, which is They Are Mother, which is they refers to God. So a non-binary God. It's a wonderful, fun piece that makes you think about the nature of God. I want to tell you, I am so excited about Saturday sharing that's coming up in a little less than 2 weeks. I had a Zoom call with our three presenters, Adam Tice, Ana Hernandez, and Hannah Brown, and they are just on the top of their game, and it's going to be a wonderful session. And Joan says we have a lot of people signed up for that. So I have reached out to people that I know here locally, because I think lots of people could benefit from this. Yeah, it's going to be fabulous. We're going to talk about lament and protest and affirmation and hope. And Adam created a Google Doc, which I checked yesterday, and it's already this long list. And that's just out of the UCC hymnal, out of the New Century. So it's going to be fabulous. So I've talked to Innocent twice. I've reached out to a bunch of people. Oddly enough, the guy who is the dean of the School of Music and Dramatic Arts at Louisiana State, where Innocent is former faculty member here at the University of New Mexico. So we had hopes, a friend of mine and I, that maybe we could talk to Eric, this guy, but apparently that's not a fruitful path. So I had a bunch of ideas, and then I talked to Innocent, I think on Thursday. I talked to him twice last week. And the second conversation, he said, something has changed. I have applied for a master's in music therapy at Lesley University in Cambridge, Massachusetts. And this, if it works out, that would be his ticket to stay in the United States. One of the things that I've thought about a lot is that he's a composer. He has 2 degrees, working on a third in composition. And the way the visa works is you have to get a job of at least 20 hours a week. There are no jobs for composers, right? That's a gig economy. So he's automatically at a disadvantage. He has played piano in a couple of churches, but he's not really a music director. He has taught in 3 different countries, but he doesn't have a teaching license. I reached out to the fine arts director at our school district, and she said, we can't hire him unless he has a teaching certificate somewhere. So I really hope that he's able to get this master's program. They're interested in him. The snafu right now is that his undergrad degree is in Nigeria, and they have a 5-point grade point average scale. So they have to translate that into our 4-point. So that's slowing things down a little bit. I think Innocent honestly is a little bit confused about why I, and by extension, you all, are so interested in him. Or, he's not without resources. I pitched to him that I found an immigration attorney, and he basically said that he's working with friends and he's got some stuff going on. So he's not, yeah, he's got some things going. But he has applied, he's signed up with an employment agency that hires people to teach at private schools. And he says he's had several schools reach out to him and been interested, but when they find out that they have to sponsor his visa, which A, is a lot of paperwork, and B, involves like 4 different fees, I don't know how much, they back off. So my idea was, what if we put it out to the larger UCC or ONA churches or something and said, here's this guy who has a problem. This is his problem. These are his skills. Anybody want to help? In an era where we are constantly bombarded every day by horribleness from who in Washington, D.C., maybe somebody is like, yeah, I want to make a difference. I'll take this on. So since my second conversation with Innocent, I am kind of putting that on hold for right now, giving him a little time to see what happens with Lesley University, because it would be really weird, right, if we have this full-on thing and then, oh, never mind. I have a contact within the National Church, a woman named Tracy Howe. Anybody know her?
Wistful way,
Yeah, she is going to be at our church in 3 weeks. And she lives in Tucson. She's part of our conference. And I figured Tracy might be a person that I could ask to help me flesh out this idea. But I would love to hear if you guys have any thoughts about a publicity blitz for Innocent.
I'm currently looking at a possible solution as well in my area. I have an assistant director of worship arts at my church. It's not probably enough to be that type of employment for him. But we are also close to the University of Hartford, which has a doctorate program in composition, which he said he was pursuing. So I'm I'm working a couple angles on that one to see if that's a combination of those two might be something that's a solution. I hope to get some kind of answer later on this week. And I can share that with Innocent as well as and others if that helps with anybody as well.
So he and I talked about the DMA. He applied at a couple other institutions to see if he could be in somebody else's program. And he was upset because at least one place made him pay the application fee before they would tell him that it's too late. That he had to have applied in December. I have a friend who is looking into a program in San Diego. The deal is when his semester ends, he has 15 days. And if he doesn't have something in place by then, he's out. So the DMA seems like a stretch at this point, although I think if he was accepted into a position of some kind, even if it didn't start until next fall, he would be okay. Yeah, does that help?
Yeah, we'll see how it goes. We do have a personal connection with the university as well, so we might be able to get some things waived as far as that goes too.
Okay, awesome.
Yeah, and with
Yeah.
the deadline looming here in May, it's really important that we have a path somewhere, somehow, and we don't let this time run out and have to have him go back, because it really is literally a death sentence for him,
Yeah, yeah,
and we can't abide that. So I really appreciate, Ruth, what you have done and what everybody has done in response to my plea. So we'll keep this in the forefront and we'll keep pushing. Eldana also sent some stuff. She has some connections as well. And so we'll keep Eldana in the loop as well, if you don't mind. But I really appreciate you speaking directly to him. And getting you know, the word right from his mouth. So thank you very much.
yeah. I can type up what I just told you and send that to the whole board. So everybody knows what's going
Great, thank you.
I mean, we may have to wait a couple, you know, weeks to figure out what's going on with the Massachusetts thing and, you know, that kind of thing, but we can't just let this slide forever.
on. I think if he could get admitted to that program, that would be amazing because you
Yeah.
can get a nice solid music therapy job. in
Right.
any
That would be a
country.
great position for him.
And he seemed to think he would like it.
And he was in Massachusetts teaching private school
Mhm.
while he was studying up there, so he knows that area, has friends in that area.
Yeah, I think that'd be a great landing spot for him.
Yeah. Okay, thank you.
Mhm.
Yeah, keep us updated. Thanks so much.
You bet.
All right, well, we walk the walk, we talk the talk, and I'm out of cheese.
Oh,
God
before
bless
we,
you, Peter.
before we dispel for the evening, you organist people, do you have a magnificent arrangement of Phantom of the Opera? I just have churchy music on my 40 years on the bench. I want something fun. Do you guys have anyone's got a really rip snorting rendition of it?
I just used the actual, not the actual score, but you can get some of the music, vocal piano type of
I've
thing.
got the vocal choral score, but I wondered if
Yeah.
Ramona, the redheaded wonder, who was a trans back in the 90s, we always do Phantom, and she had to do the high notes. But that was at midnight at the bar when I would go. But on Sunday morning, it was Jonathan Bowen at the Straight Tone Church proper, Anglican. Oh yeah, so he were wonderful. Anyway, loves you all. You were going to dismiss us, Mr. President.
No, it's great. All right. God bless you. Thank you.
I'm off to find the feathers. Love you. Bye.
Sleep
Right.
well.
Oh, I always do. No guilt.